Okay, good evening. It is 6 o'clock. We'll get started with our meeting. Welcome to the Franklin Board of Education meeting for February 18th. The meeting has been posted. Can we have a roll call, please, Angie?
Yes, Mrs. Yank.
Here.
Mrs. Witkowski.
Here.
Dr. Khan.
Here.
Mrs. Sapersky.
Here.
Mr. Sprague and Mrs. Larson are both excused, and I am present.
Great, thank you for that. If we could stand for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Motion was made by Mrs. Witkowski, seconded by Mary Yank. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we have our Robinwood team here. So, Linda?
Yes, tonight we have with us, first of all, Robinwood Principal Lydia Sessing, rhymes with guessing, and some of her excellent staff. She's in her second year with the district. She has worked in Milwaukee schools as a kindergarten teacher and in West Allis, West Milwaukee as an instructional coach and in leadership roles from high school through elementary. She appreciates the progression of learning and sees herself as always learning. Robinwood's enrollment, this is from last year's school report, is 437 with 8.7% open enrollment. Students with disabilities are 14.2%. Economic disadvantage is almost 23%, and English learners is 8%. The school achieved an overall score of 83.3, which exceeds expectations. They are excited about an increase in growth for target group outcomes and the increase in mathematics achievement. Robinwood has 27 teaching staff and 28 support staff for a total of 65. I think you'll be excited as I was. I mean, that was about the numbers, but I was really excited to hear about the roar time that happens every day for 30 minutes for every student with all staff on deck. With that, let's come to the table.
Come on up.
Unless you want to introduce your staff also.
Yes, I
it's
have a
all-
slide for it, it's coming. All right.
You can pull up extra chairs.
Yeah, just pull the chair.
I don't know if we are using these, but so basically we wanted to spotlight today our vertical or multi-grade PLCs and our role groups. So we're gonna kind of highlight two things. As Linda said, one of the things that we're excited to share is that we have that time for everyone for those 30 minutes, but there's a lot of planning that goes behind that to make sure we have just the right skills for our students to work on. So we're gonna really talk a lot about the vertical or multi-grade PLCs that go into the work of those roar groups today as well. And kind of that, what we're tying in is that focus of data-driven and individual student needs. And that's really working on our school improvement goals, our student engagement goal, which focuses on our 4K through 4th grade AIM score achievement, as well as our 5th grade in MAPS. And then our other goal, which is that overall student growth. And we're really focusing, we have 40 students in 4K through 4 with disabilities that we're really focusing on the lower percentiles to show those higher growth goals. Our lowest below the 30th percentile, we really want to see that growth score of at least 70%. So we really want to make at least that 1 year's growth to really start closing those gaps. So this is kind of our spotlight of that. So joining me today, I have Miss McDermott, Ann McDermott here, 3rd grade teacher, Sam Somatic, 3rd grade, Rachel Weezy, 3rd grade, and Lauren Fueling, our instructional coach. I thought something exciting to share is they have a combined 57 years of experience, believe it or not, right? With 43 of those years right here at Robinwood. So I'm really excited. This team is really great at early adopting and trying new things and using data to do that. So I'm really excited to have them here. We'll be showcasing students through videos, and they'll be showcasing all the hard work. So take it away.
All right, so in order to work towards some of those goals and really focusing in on the growth of our students, we knew we needed to meet them where they were at. And an initiative we took on this year and plan to continue is our vertical PLCs, or professional learning communities. So vertical PLCs just mean that we're meeting among different grades. All of the teams have worked within their grade level in a PLC, so we're kind of creating another community within our school. So we have it within the grade levels in each pod at Robinwood. So that means like 4K kindergarten, first grade is a vertical PLC, second and third grade is a vertical PLC, and then 4 or 5 is a vertical PLC. They meet at least once a month, and we are currently focusing our work when we are together on planning, implementing, and revising our ROAR groups. So those ROAR groups then are part of our MLSS system to really work towards those like school improvement goals, to really meet students where they're at. It is that set aside time to ensure multiple layers of support can be implemented for all students. It can focus on literacy, it can focus on math, and it can also focus on SEL needs. While in those vertical PLCs, then planning for those groupings, we have regular ed classroom teachers, we have cross-cat teachers, we have interventionists, our English language teacher, we have our speech and language pathologist, we have our OT, our school psych, we have our social worker, coaches are involved, principals involved, so it really is like a team effort, making sure everyone is, you know, on the same team to work towards supporting our students. This year then, along with our vertical PLCs, we decided to pre-plan our ROAR times so that those within the pod or involved in the vertical PLC will have those ROAR times at the same time so that we can also utilize adults like cross-grade levels. So if a first grade student has similar needs as some of our kindergarten students, or kindergarten has similar as first grade, we can kind of cross-mingle there and best meet those needs. So, when it comes to actually implementing those groups and those plans that we've created then within our vertical PLC, it is an all hands on deck collaborative approach. We have classroom teachers, again, school psychologists, instructional coaches, educational assistants, our cross-cat educational assistants, our cross-cat teachers, interventionists, and even our students are all involved in helping run some of our groupings. So we have a few of pictures of some of those groups and actions, and then we also have a video on the next slide to kind of show it all in action as well. Should be.
Do you play that music when they go in too?
No one knew we were coming, so I was actually surprised how many people didn't go.
So cute. I'm going to talk a little bit about how we take on this huge project of dividing up all of our students so everybody is hitting their just right skills that they need. There are three major things that we look at to get data. The first thing is Ames Web. So we do Ames Web reading and Ames Web math. In third grade, we look at a couple of different assessments. It might be their oral fluency, their vocabulary, their comprehension. In math, it's also their fluencies, but also problem solving. And once we get all of that data, if we see that we might need to dig in and have more information, more specific information, there are diagnostic assessments that our lovely Miss Lauren Fueling helps out with, or our instructional, or Megan Gluen, our interventionists. They help a lot with making sure that we have exactly the kind of data that we need for our students for their academics. Another area that we look at is the SABRS screener data. And the data that we get from that is SEL data. So things that we might not see on the outside of a student, it gives us a little glimpse of the inside of what is happening with our students. So once we take all of this information, which helps with our PRPs, our personal reading plans for Act 20, it is helping us to form our groups. We take that with just our general observations with our literacy and our math curriculums and just conversations with the students. And as a teacher, we are looking at how can I group these students so that I can hit as many skills as I can. And if I find that my students need similar skills as those in Mrs. McDermott's class or Miss Weezy's class, we'll group those students. And now we're able to check in with second grade, who we vertically PLC with. And we just check with each other and see what kind of similarities do we have. Utilizing all of these people, then we're able to make all sorts of groups that are hitting just right skills for our students. And then once we figure out our groupings, we use the FPS workbook to figure out what resources are best going to meet their needs. So huge task and undertaking. It took us a lot of time and effort and sitting with all of this data, but I think it's really turned into something special and something really worthwhile that we're seeing results from.
Okay, so yes, it was a lot of work getting the groups together, and then we had students who weren't in skill building groups, and we thought, well, how can we give these kids some opportunities too? And I think it was Mrs. Weezy that said, well, maybe we can have some of the third graders read with the second graders. And so we looked at it like, well, who would be like leaders or, you know, that could be mentors? And so we started out small and asked a couple of these kids, do you want to be mentors for the second graders? I remember one of the kids in my class said, I took him out in the hallway and he said, Mrs. McDermott, I never thought this would happen to me in my entire life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, and I just saw his whole face. He was smiling. He was like, I can't wait to tell my parents. And I thought, oh my gosh, who knew that was going to be so emotional and like meaningful for him? So he loves it. We started to get some other kids involved and they were loving it too. So then we expanded it. So like we started with reading. So they have, you know, certain materials we give them and we kind of train them like, you know, you're going to teach it just kind of like, you know, we do. And we're going to read it together with them first and then go through the comprehension questions and, you know, hear the answers in case you get stuck, you know. But so they feel really comfortable about it. And then it was so successful that we thought, well, let's expand it to math. So then we started doing some math where like some of these groups are like where the second graders need a little help with math. And then like our really top performers in third grade, we're giving them like kids that need a challenge from second grade. So, you know, we didn't stop at that. Then we contacted fourth grade, you know, even though we're not vertically with them. And we're like, do you have any readers that want to come down and read with our third graders and give them a chance? And so, you know, the fourth graders, of course, love coming back and like working for us, you know, because they get to come back and see us and we have the materials and they, you know, we can do it as much as we can with the time restrictions because we had never, you know, arranged it with fourth grade before, but, you know, we'd love to look at expanding that next year too. And, you know, those kids really enjoy being leaders. There are other grades that are doing some other enrichment opportunities. So for English language arts, for instance, using data to run book clubs. And math, Mrs. Fueling runs a great group for deeper thinking, for like advanced, they're kind of like application problems from class or advanced thinking tasks. And those kids love it. I mean, they're problems that you don't figure out in one time period. And so they have to learn patience, and that those answers aren't always gonna come quickly to you. And for some of these real high achievers, that's a lesson in itself. So they work real hard on that, and you'll hear from a couple of them today about how they enjoy that.
All right, our final components for determining groups involve our ongoing flexibility. This block of time allows us to implement students' personal reading plans, or PRPs, based in alignment of Act 20. We have been flexible for students who need reading, math, and SEL support by splitting the time periods during ROAR into 15-minute sessions. So for example, the first half could entail 15 minutes of math, and then the second half could be 15 minutes of reading. All groupings are also fluid. So as students need change, so do the groups and the mentor leadership opportunities. We keep track of these groupings using a spreadsheet, which is similar to the graphic on there, which is shared amongst all the teachers and collaborators involved in our ROAR block so that they can keep track on there as well. Lastly, our overall process is reflective and responsive. In our vertical PLCs, teachers and collaborators frequently discuss student progress, needs, and resources. We use this reflection time to be responsive, and so as our students grow, our support grows with them. And this ongoing cycle of flexibility, collaboration, and reflection ensures that ROAR time truly responds to what our students need most.
We have a video coming up next. So all of the kids really wanted to be here, so I do apologize for the multiple videos, but every kid wants to talk about things in their ROAR group and what they're teaching or what they're learning. I mean, you'll hear kids that talk about that have that split grouping where they have 15 minutes of teaching and then something like that they're doing on those other times, or some of them they're split. Like we have some kids that need something, they go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but then they might have an SEL bunch on Tuesday, Thursday. So there's lots of different things. So you'll hear kids kind of just sharing from all the different grade levels. We wanted to showcase, you know, a wide variety of them, because they're going to give you all the best insight into what ROAR is.
What do you do during ROAR time?
So I do reading and out loud in a group, and after that we go and answer questions, and then we normally read it again.
Do with them.
Oh, like this. Like when she sounded sow, we pop it, and then when she says take the word, take the beginning away, and then we take it away.
Ooh, okay, so if she said pop the word clap, what would you do?
Take the C away, and then we say the rest of the word.
What would the rest of the word be?
Lap.
During ROAR time, me and Miss Mia's group go in a quiet room to practice our reading out loud and fluency. And the best part about it is that I get to meet my friend and practice fluency.
We make sure we got uppercase and lowercase, periods, and question marks. First for warm-up, we do reading alphabet books, and then when we're done with our warm-up, we spell and we read, and then we spell, and we have new games, we play games, we sometimes go on computers and journals. My teacher is working with friends, so it's like she pulls some from the other kindergarten class, and she pulls some other from other, and those come back to work and work with my teacher.
So, tell me about your roar groups.
Oh, I have one where I'm the teacher in it, and we read books in it, and I teach someone younger than me. After we read books, and after we read the books, we fill out the sheet of paper that has questions about the story.
Nice. And do you have another roar group too?
Yes, I have this math roar group. We solve problems, and I think they're harder than the ones in our classroom, but not that hard. I read books and write about them and write words.
What do you like best about your roar group?
That it's challenging more than what I do in the classroom because I kind of already know that stuff.
How do you feel when it's time for roar groups?
I feel excited because then I can get out of the classroom and see new people.
How do you know you're improving in reading?
Because the books that were harder that I read are now easier.
Can you tell me about a time you felt proud of your work in roar time?
Yeah, it was like a book that was really hard, but I kept trying and trying, and it was like had the same words, but the ending was different. So I started to do that. In Miss Mia's group, I felt proud because I read the passage really fast with like only one mistake.
So that's it. That's our roar time and kind of all the planning that goes into those components. So just kind of that wrap up that it's very collaborative. It's multi-grade. There is a lot of, time and effort that goes into doing that and seeing, okay, who can take this group Monday, Wednesday, Friday? Ooh, we also need a group Tuesday, Thursday, and how do we kind of coordinate that also with what everybody here is also an expert in, right? So like our school social worker does a great job, the days that she's there, she does a lot of support for some of those SEL skills, and we're just very lucky to have a whole team working on it, and it's an ongoing process, so we continue to reflect and grow, and just excited to share it with you guys.
Thank you.
So, yeah, that's it. That's us.
Thank you.
I'll tell the kids they did a great job.
Kids have questions. Who are the kids have questions?
This kid has a question. This sounds, I'm noticing a theme from, I think it was Ben Franklin, they talked about this 30-minute. Is this something that all the elementary schools are trying to implement? Or are we just lucky that we've heard the last two elementary schools focus on this approach of like cross classes to meet MLSS needs?
My understanding is most have like a flex time. We introduced roar time last year at Robinwood, and then that was the first year that we had really done it. So our growth on it this year as a school was to do that multi-grade and have more hands on deck so we can support more kids with those skills, in having multiple people take groups at those times. So yes.
Thanks.
To answer your question.
I would say the vertical teams is what's unique to Robinwood, and a few other schools starting to do that, but everybody's running MLSS groups at least at the grade level and working on the skill sets where students are at.
Thanks.
I think it's amazing that it's every day, 30 minutes, and kids are aware of what they're working on and what their goals are.
They're saying it in their way when they share. We definitely did not prompt them on how to say it, but it's perfect because, right, that one kid explains, my teacher takes kids from this class and this class, right? Like, so that you can really see like how that is all pieced together. Yeah.
Maybe creating future teachers.
Oh, yes.
We're very proud
Yes.
of their
Yes.
mentorship.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What a grounding.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, they're very proud when I come around too, and I'll do observations in classrooms. I've been going to every class and we're doing roar observations, so I'm in every room and they're like, are you gonna observe me teaching my group? And I'm like, sure, yes, you're in this. Absolutely.
They'll sometimes give me a little report on how their
Oh, yeah.
partner did
Yes.
that day. They take it, that was a fourth grader, yeah. They take it very serious.
Very
And
seriously.
it's good accountability for those students that you might not be able to meet with on a daily basis.
So a student who may have special needs, are they woven into this whole process as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. also, yeah, every single student has a place where they are and a group that they're engaging in, yeah.
Yeah, our CrossCat teachers also have a roar group during that time. Sometimes it's not like their SDI, so that might be at a different time. It might be more of like a layer 2 or other things too. It all depends, but they have all of those layers, so we make sure that, for example, Miss McDermott might be working with a student that might have that SDI for reading, but then she also is working on that same skill at a different tiered or layer of support, maybe during that roar time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
We'll do a picture.
Yeah.
Linda, you want to join them for a picture? Jess is our photographer. I am highly trained.
Highly trained photographer.
Right? It's the whole spot where I sit.
Yeah, no treats for the
No
adults.
kiddos today.
It's just you.
Yes, get your.
Oh, she is?
You're pretty.
She tried.
I was going to introduce you at the end. This is our fan club. Nicole came at to support.
Yay.
Got one. Oh, wow.
All right, friends.
You gotta be in the middle.
Squeeze in now, don't
Squeeze
it?
up like
This is your
you like
first
that.
time.
What are we doing?
I don't know, I'm doing like the
You're gonna have
shoulder
to angle
tap.
it a little bit.
Mrs. McDermott, Miss Sessing, turn in, I think, yeah, there
Oh,
we
we
go.
appreciate that.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
Here for your styling needs.
You've been with the dance team all week.
Thank you
Thanks
for
for coming.
having us.
Thank
you.
Thanks so much.
Excellent job, Robinwood.
Continuing on, item number 5, community comment. There was not a community comment earlier. Anybody in the community want to speak? We will skip community comment. Looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
So move. Second.
Motion was made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. School board calendar update. We have our workshop at our next 2 Wednesdays from now, March 4th, 6 o'clock here at the ECC. There is the South Suburban Chamber Networking Breakfast on Wednesday, March 11th at the Cirque Building at 7:45. Also on March 11th is Key Communicators, Wednesday, March 11th at 5 o'clock, also in the Cirque, so we can just have a whole day of Cirque if anybody's interested. And we have a regular Board of Education meeting on Wednesday, March 18th, here at 6 o'clock, and then our regular Board of Education meeting on Wednesday, April 15th, here at 6 o'clock. And I will ask Dr. Bannon for an update.
Excellent. Well, good evening. A couple updates of excitement around the district this evening. So our district was recognized by the Wisconsin Association of School Business Officials, WASBO it's sometimes abbreviated as, with the 2025 Safety, Security, and Wellness Award. So it's been out there for a little while. They finally were receiving the award, and some pictures have been out on social media. It's a statewide honor. It reflects our partnership with not just the City of Franklin Health Department, but also the Fire Department and Volition. And Andy Daniels was really the lead for us as a district in setting that up. So it looks at spending that money and talking about advancing emergency preparedness, youth development, and substance misuse prevention efforts. So a great recognition and a $15 grant that will also come to the district.
I'm sorry, how much?
$1,500.
Oh.
Did I say it?
15, I'm like, woo.
$1,500. Welcome to winter in my nasally voice, I apologize. So last week was National Bus Driver Appreciation Week, so we always like to do a nice shout out to Right Way, who's been a great partner to work with and work through times of struggle and times of celebration. We had a lot of families and our younger students especially coloring pages for them and bringing small little prizes and tokens of appreciation. So a nice moment for that. I mean, our bus drivers are important for many reasons. They get them here safely. They're also the first and last face they see and voice they hear each day. So it's really a quite remarkable role and we appreciate them. Huge congratulations to our FHS dance team led by Coach Sarah Heinvetter. They were runner-up, so I have to get through the whole list here, runner-up of the 2026 D1 State Championship in Palms. In addition, they finished as state runner-up in jazz and placed third in kick, making Franklin the only Division I school to place top 3 in all 3 categories, 24th year at state level championship. And I believe currently they're,
At nationals.
thank you, and done competing or soon to be, so we don't have all the results, but probably Angie can give us them in our update shortly. And then FHS Future Business Leaders of America, FBLA program, took third at regionals recently and earned multiple state qualifiers. So congratulations to all of our students moving on to state. And this week last week, actually. No, it was Monday. My apologies. We had many of our Muslim families and parents and students have hosted a meal it started at the high school 5 years ago. It's now across a lot of our other schools in the district for our staff in recognition of Ramadan. So we're very, very appreciative of the students and the families for sharing that tradition, wonderful food, and a deeper understanding to the celebration. So just a few of the updates across our wonderful district in the last couple weeks.
Awesome. Thank you. Moving on to any board liaison reports. Go ahead, Mary.
My school is Ben Franklin. I went to the PTO meeting a couple of weeks ago. It was very well attended. Everyone's very invested. I think they had some bumps a few years ago. I'm not quite sure what that was all about, but it seems like they've recovered. Their funds they just bought a new fridge, and now they're working on getting a projector for the events that I think are in their larger space. So Mr. Hine was there. He encouraged them, families, to complete the engagement survey. He mentioned the net promoter score that is really impressive. Yeah, they were going to have their talent show, which I unfortunately didn't get to, but it sounded like it was really going to be very enjoyable. So, yeah, very invested, involved parents in that group, and really successful in engaging with other families. So it was very, very fun.
And I did visit with the Robinwood School also. Took a spin around the circle. It was a very wonderful visit, very high energy, and it was before the kids got there, and then they all decided time to move.
Gotta get out of the way. Great. Any other board liaison reports? School or community engagement reports?
Jazz Cabaret.
Yes.
It happened, or it's coming up?
It was last
Saturday.
It was last Saturday.
Yeah.
Okay. So I missed it.
Fantastic. And I just have to say, I know in the past, I think we've had outside musicians come in, but this year, and I think in a couple previous years, it's our musicians, and blown away just by the talented musicians that we have on our staff. It is just so incredibly, wonderful to see them perform. Mr. Dunmeyer, Mr. Kuban, Mrs. Umhafer, Miss
Knudsen.
Emma Knudsen. We just have some fantastic musicians on our staff, so it was so enjoyable. And the students were good too.
I was going to say, it was very well attended, and it was really fun to see the students across. We don't always get band, orchestra, and choir together in the same space, and so to have kids performing from all three areas and together and things, was a very fun night.
And when was it?
This past weekend.
Like Saturday night?
Saturday night. It was Valentine's.
Valentine's Day?
It was Valentine's Day. Lots of people came and shared their Valentines with us.
I missed it because I was in Orlando. The dance team did in fact earn a berth at a national competition and represented our school in Wisconsin very well. Of the 5 numbers they took, 3 of them were made it to finals, and all 3 of those made it in the top 10 for the first time at a competition. I mean, amazing amount of talent. Those girls work really hard. It's a very well-respected program across the state, and now we can say nationally as well.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay, reports, presentations, and business. We will start with Mr. Volo with our academic and technical excellence scholarships, please.
Good evening, everybody. It's always nice to return. Good evening, Linda. And at your stations, I did put a copy of the actual academic excellence and tech excellence scholars there. Obviously, that's student information, so I would appreciate if you handle it as such. The only thing I'll point out before I kindly request that you take the actions indicated is the valedictorian of this year's class and our technical excellence scholar, the first one on the list. They're both my advisees, so
Noted.
I'm a proud advisor. I'm really, really happy to be speaking to you, not just as high school principal always, but also those 2 students are my advisees.
Nice.
So.
The record will reflect that. I
So
move that
noted.
we accept the slate of academic excellence scholarship recipients as presented.
Okay, motion made by Dr. Beer, seconded by Mrs. Bukowski. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes for academic.
I move that we accept the slate of technical excellence scholarship recipient scholars as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Dr. Beer, seconded by Mrs. Yank. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Thank you.
We got some awesome students. Good job.
Way to go.
A lot of musicians.
Moving on then, we will invite Mrs. Umefer up to talk with us about our music trip, student travel.
Good evening. We're grateful for the opportunity to request the opportunity for our students to continue their study of music and study of world cultures and opportunities through this time traveling to Europe, specifically Prague and Vienna. We have a rich tradition of travel in music. We think it's a really important way for students to learn about the world, other cultures, music history, and themselves through these incredible privileges and opportunities. We are looking to continue our, ideally a 4-year rotation of travel. Last year, we were fortunate to travel to New York City. We had 65 students in band, choir, and orchestra join us for that. This year, we're taking a day trip to Chicago. Then year 3 of the rotation would be an international tour. So we are looking at Prague and Vienna, which has a very rich musical history, opportunities to study the legacy of Beethoven and Smetana and Mozart, and not only immerse ourselves in these beautiful landscapes and music history, cultural sites, but also the chance to perform there as well. So band, choir, and orchestra students would have the chance to perform there in public performances. We are looking to partner with Bob Rogers Travel, with whom we've traveled since 2011, domestically and internationally. We've traveled to Italy and Ireland before. They're widely regarded as the premier music education travel company. We're very familiar working with them. And they've put together an itinerary for us that's very provides many rich opportunities for our students to make the most of our time there. I believe the itinerary has been shared with you, the proposal as well, and we'd fly out of O'Hare. We're looking at traveling June 1st through 8th, 2027, taking advantage of that window with our modified academic calendar, close to the end of the school year, so our students will have retained their work through rehearsal within the school year to still be able to perform there. We're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions?
I move that we accept the band, choir, orchestra 2027 trip as presented.
Second.
Motion's been made by Dr. Beer, seconded by Mrs. Bukowski. Any further discussion?
Sounds
Looks
wonderful.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Have a wonderful trip.
Thank you for the support.
Okay, moving on then, we will go to student fees. Mr. Cromie.
So attached to the board document was a grouping of school districts, starting with the number ones, which are what we use to compare ourselves when we talk about academic data, and all of the markers, they have the closest group to us. Then we had a second grouping, number 2, who's the next closest, 3, the third closest, and then we added Waukesha in there as a very close data point, as we have all of the people, or all of the school districts surrounding us already indicated in there. As you can see from a median standpoint, we are quite a bit below on student fees, a little bit below on middle school athletic fees, and pretty close, on high school and middle school athletic fees, and pretty close on activities fees of both of those. A little bit under an instrumental fee. High school parking, we happen to be quite a bit over. One of the reasons in using comparative data from other school districts, it is very common for school board members to ask, how do we compare just in general to our neighbors? There were some additional questions that came forth over the weekend regarding what are fees used for, or what backing do we have for fees. Those were sent out via email, I believe, yesterday by Dr. Bennon. But our fees in general are meant to cover supplies and other items used throughout the school day, sans technology. in order to educate our students. The numbers provided by Dr. Bennon clearly do not match what we're proposing tonight and ultimately asking for support on March 4th in terms of what does it actually cost to educate a child. In total, our fees, top to bottom, so athletics and student fees, parking, represent about 1/100th of our budget, actually a little bit under that, so we're talking about a little bit less than 1% of our total budget. But it is a component, right? If we wipe this out, that we would be looking for $625,000, $650,000 to figure it out. We're certainly not looking to make up all of the costs of educating a student in our student fees. We're looking to just be a little bit more in line with what fees are costing and with our neighbors who are adjacent to all around us and our comparable neighbors. So you'll see some differences in our school fees being proposed. One, keeping 4K its own, but taking 5K and instead of separating it into bands, taking 5K through 5 and making it elementary grade band. 6-8 keeping that, 9-12 keeping that. So you'll see some adjustments on the school fees. A minor adjustment to both athletic fees. So athletic fees are 75 at the high school, and at the middle school, our student fees are 25. So it's really moving our maximums of 75 and 150 at the middle school and high school respectively, keeping those, but moving our family total so that it matches with a specific number of choices. So at the high school, our family max is 200, but that's like 2 2/3 of a sport. So just moving it to be 3 sports. Like if you play 3 sports, we're $225. If you have 2 kids and you play 6 sports, it's still $225, but it matches with 75 for 1, 75 for 2, 75 for 3. We're not proposing anything with activities, parking in terms of really raising those in terms of our neighbors. As you know, we had Cordell here last time, and he does a lot with a lot of different groups, but one of the biggest things we tout is our students that participate in at least 1, 2, 3, or more, and the academic changes that happen for them in terms of grade point average, attendance. Really, it's their interaction with the school and their attachment to the school. So, and looking at it from that lens, we don't want to price students out of being able to participate. And with anything, the more you raise it, getting everybody that already was included in the group of people who are going to pay will start to get smaller. With anything, right? It's a teeter-totter effect. Like we can raise it so far before the number of people we pay are going to start to decline. So we don't want to price kids out of being able to participate in activities and athletics. So it's really just making that family match in line with having 3 of those versus the 2 2/3 of an activity. Outside of that, there's some minor adjustments for 4K through 12, tweaking those numbers. And then another proposal would be to, let's just put a cycle to this so that we have some sort of rhyme or reason to it. I know it hasn't been brought in my time, and at least a year before that, so we're on a 5th year as far as I know, and I didn't do any history to go back further than that. But we should probably have some sort of history to come back to it. So at the very least, we're reviewing it periodically. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
I was just curious what your practice is with students or families who might be experiencing economic hardship.
Yep, so the first and foremost is always to request for them to fill out the free and reduced application. If they qualify for free and reduced, we can waive those fees right up the bat, and schools are actually not required. Schools are really reminded that you should just be doing that. If they qualify for free and reduced, please waive those fees.
And we follow
Again,
that practice.
yes, very,
We have policy
very
on that,
heavily. We're not looking to price students out again, or price families out. Every year though at graduation, and if Mr. Volo were here, he could attest, we have a handful of people who have not paid fees for a number of years, and they want their child to walk graduation. We do work with those families as well, ideally on a payment plan, to recoup as many of those fees as we possibly can before they go across the stage. We get that too around prom time, very similar to can't buy your, or I guess homecoming and prom, can't buy your homecoming or prom ticket. A little less to the degree of we're getting to graduation, and that's a way more mom and dad thing than it is a student where prom and homecoming are their like intrinsic motivation to get those things paid.
Thank you.
Yep.
So are we like taking two actions? I mean, we're already gonna approve a 29-30 school year change?
We're gonna ask you to, next time, approve the 26-27, approve the modifications for 29-30, and then we're back on reviewing the cycle for 20-30, 31, 32.
So why are we doing the two-step as opposed to?
Well, really in looking at it, if we talk about elementary school, we'd be going from 34 and 5K up to 60, so that's almost a 70-80% jump. First, second, third, fifth, again, a larger jump, so we're looking to just break that apart, so we're not providing such a steep increase in year one and making it a little more plausible for families to get there.
So what is the basis for the athletic fee? I know you gave examples of the.
I can't tell you why it was set at 75, way before my time. So I'm not necessarily sure why it's set there. But again, we're looking at it, not increasing it from a standpoint of we want as much participation as we can.
But is it still the same idea that this is to cover some of the consumable costs?
Oh, in terms of a fee, in terms of the rationale of why, yeah, I don't know why it's 75, but yes, same idea. For some sports, it probably covers as much of the fee as possible. Tennis is probably a prime example. I mean, outside of tennis balls on a yearly basis, most kids are buying their own rackets because they prefer to play with this racket or that racket. If you're talking football, like $75 doesn't touch the cost of the helmet. So different sports require different needs. And we have a couple that are club that do pay the whole thing. Hockey is a great example. Hockey is a club sport for us. At this point, it's pretty expensive to play hockey. Lacrosse and rugby fall under that as well. They're club sports, so their participation and cost is a little bit different. These are for our WIA sports.
Lacrosse is a club sport?
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, at this point, it's still club sport.
How would I know that?
I don't know.
It's newer, that just tends to be
Yeah.
how they start.
I don't know how you would know that.
Website maybe? I don't know. Handbook?
I mean, it
Somewhere?
might say it in those, but really, like, they start out as clubs, it's often to do with, like, how many are in the conference to compete yet. If you're gonna be competing outside of conference, like, it just hasn't grown to that size yet. So it's a lot based on WAA.
Or WA regulates what's club and what's,
They have a lot to do with, like, you're working with them on how big it's growing across the state. Like lacrosse, women's wrestling are newer sports, so not every school has a program yet, so you don't always have a conference in your area. You might be scheduling, like clubs are scheduling wherever you can with
so
teams.
that's not club sport. Women's wrestling, no?
We don't have a women's wrestling
They
team
just,
yet.
the first
Yeah,
year was
I don't
this
know
year.
offhand.
First year was this year.
Wait, so we do have or we don't?
We do, we have.
We do have some females participating, yes.
Correct.
Yeah, I saw something on a website or
Mhm.
Facebook page.
Yeah.
And Cordell had that in his report last meeting too.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
This is the first year, though.
Right.
Okay, and what do we do at parking fees? The report doesn't show.
Leaving them exactly the same,
And what are they? How much are they? What's-
$200 a year.
But that's based on, again, materials? What's the basis for parking fees?
We provide a parking lot, we make it safe, we make sure that students have insurance, that it's licensed. It is providing a safe place for students to park.
We don't charge employees, we provide the same thing.
Then you should say, I don't want to charge a parking fee.
Well, I did ask the question about how these relate to our policy on fees. And parking doesn't seem to,
Because our policy is a student fee, parking is a privilege fee. We don't have a privilege fee board policy.
it's a privilege fee?
100%, it's a privilege to park in the high school
You can
parking lot.
ride the bus if you don't want to drive your car and
Yep.
park.
And if you do something dumb, you get that revoked. You do something dumb playing sports, you get that revoked as well. That's why activities and athletics fees are not part of student fees either. Those are privilege fees. Like, you get the privilege to do that.
Is that defined somewhere? I was not aware of that term, privilege fee.
Nope, but they're not called student fees for a reason, whereas the others are called student fees.
Okay, well, they're included in this student fee review report I have in front of me.
That is correct, because they are fees we charge for that. So we can separate that out
They're
and call
not
that
under
privilege
student fees,
or
but we
student
looked at
fees.
all fees umbrella-wise. So yes, we probably could have changed the title to student fees and other fees accrued to students. Understood. We can change that next time.
Privilege fees.
Heard. Thank you.
So these won't be raised for 5 years?
Well, we're requesting your approval of raising for the 26-27 school year as on here, raising again in 29-30 as is here, reviewed then again in 5 years. It's possible in 5 years we come back and say, we should do nothing with them. It's possible we come back and say they should go up by $5.
At least then we'd have it on a cycle and we'd have a plan for
Right.
when we're going to be looking at them.
Yep, otherwise it's kind of just, oh, what are we doing with student fees? Oh, we should take a look at
Sounds like
that.
it was time to look at them.
Yeah. Can a current board approve a future year fee?
Yes.
The board can also choose to pull that part out and we can bring it back next year and put it in a consent agenda because it's already been talked
Because
about.
it's not even in the next, it's just 26, 27, that's not, next year would be 28.
27, 28, 28,
27,
29.
So the purpose
so
was
far out
to
there.
evaluate against other fees and evaluate, it's, as you saw, it doesn't pay to evaluate against actual costs because it's putting a small slice into that. And then looking at where we need to go, being conscious of making a big jump in 1 year instead breaking it over 2. And if the board chooses not to approve both this evening, you can approve the first one or not. And you can also pull the second one out and say, bring it back and we'll put it in consent agenda a year from now and approve 2 years from now and approve it
So-
at that time. Like, that's completely up to the board. You can pull it out and we can bring it back and
We're reviewing the 5 years today. The prices or the fees for 29-30 are really where we think they should be set.
Right
But
now.
setting those today is a big jump from where we currently are. So setting the two different levels then sets us up for reviewing again in 2031, 32, which is the next 5-year cycle.
But-
So it's really taking what we think the 5-year price should be, or component, but saying that's a big jump today. Let's
But then
break
we
that
would
up into
never
2
catch
jumps.
up. Because
this is just what we're
I don't think we're looking to catch up.
I think it's, we're not gonna get in debate territory about it, it's just suggesting where we think we can be rationalized against what comparable districts are doing and against where we're at, and if the board doesn't choose to make that, that's up to the board. It's just our suggestion and our rationale to why it's being conscious of breaking it up, and then it's putting us on a 5-year cycle so that we can have an expected response and review rate.
Angie?
Thank you for bringing the comparison to neighboring districts. It's helpful to have both the rationale for levying fees and also explanations about how ours line up against other districts. I appreciate that the 29-30 change is one that you would like to see us make to get us in line sooner rather than later. And I appreciate the suggestion of doing it in a 2-step process, even though that means approving something that will happen in 2 to 3 years. I understand your logic. Thank you for doing that. We're gonna vote on this next time.
Well, thank you for sharing where you're at, but I would say that the board shouldn't be approving this 29-30 at this time. They should bring it back and review it again. I'm not sure the 5-year is the appropriate time, or that's a long time between,
You didn't have anything before,
reviewing.
Linda. There was no schedule before, so.
Well, I don't know why we picked 5. I think we're trying to, again, avoid a big increase for our parents. So that's why you would do it more regularly than 5 years. And I don't understand why we're comparing it to other districts. It should be, if it's based on the cost of materials, that is the rationale you provided, the cost of materials, we know that that's increases based on inflation, not what other districts are doing.
That's a fair question. In doing this for 3 other school boards, the very first question is how do we compare to neighboring districts? So that's also a component that we added.
It's a component.
And we look at the comparable districts, remember we've gone through these before, are not just neighboring, but comparable are similar, like socioeconomic status in some of our other areas. So that's part of why the rationale to look at those.
And I just want to say that, you know, I have a 98-year-old father who would probably say to me at this point, just because everybody's jumping over the hill doesn't mean that you should do it. We're kind of justifying, well, they're doing it, so we should do it.
We're not trying to meet or exceed them, I don't think. We're just trying to see if we're way out there on one that's way above and beyond what everybody else is doing. We would have probably looked at reducing it like that. We wouldn't want that to be out there, but we're just looking to be around the median. We're not looking to jump beyond others or solve anything else with it.
Figure out what we want to do. do that. It's $24,000 projected increase, is that correct?
Yes.
What percent is that and what's the base?
That's approximately 90% of the increased fees applied to every student. And that's based on us, right now obtaining about 92% of all the fees. So again, we're gonna raise, currently we recoup about 92% of
That's
fees
not my
that are
question.
assessed.
The question is, what percent increase is it from the base?
What is
How much do we collect
24,000
each
based
year? How
on the
much do we collect?
625? We collect about $625,000 to $650,000 in fees.
In these fees, okay,
The
600.
24,000 is actually based on the percent that we typically collect, which is around 92%, reducing that slightly because we might reach the point where we're gonna have fewer people pay, but it won't be drastic because it's not a drastic increase. So using a slightly lower rate of about 90% of people paying versus the 92% we're currently at.
But our base is 650,000.
625 to 650.
And we
I
have-
don't have the specific data in front,
We have
but that's about
4,000.
where we are on a yearly basis.
And we have 4,000 students, right?
4,400.
4,400. How much is that per student?
Divided out, I
think
guess.
we're-
I don't know
I
off the
think
top
we'll
of
be
my
on.
Not
head.
every student pays because of free and reduced,
I'm
right?
just curious
So-
about that.
Well, and we'll be taking action on this at our next meeting. Are
Yeah,
there
we
any
will.
further questions?
$150 maybe, student.
Okay. No further questions?
Well, I'm still doing my math, if you don't mind.
Is it something that's gonna impact us tonight, or can you do your math and we
Find
can
out.
talk about it at our
147.
next
Okay,
meeting?
Thank you, 150, yes, you were in the ballpark, thank you.
Good job, Andy.
Okay.
Appreciate your math.
Moving on then. We'll go to state convention reports. Everybody have a chance to go through the reports that were posted?
I didn't have a chance, so I didn't know they were out there.
Go ahead, Angie.
I just wanted to highlight that in the past, we've talked about sort of high-level things that we've taken away. And so I really made a point to attend sessions that had to do with board governance, sort of focusing on what should the board be attending to. As much as I'm tempted to go to sessions on literacy, things like that, I tried to focus a lot on board governance and went to some really interesting sessions that I think might provide us some opportunities to think about what we want to really be receiving as a board in terms of reports. I heard from some districts who were saying they set a board goal of at least 50% of the information that they were presented had something to do directly with student achievement. And I thought, well, that's a really interesting way to think about the work the board is choosing to undertake. And I thought it might be an interesting exercise to look at what reports we're statutorily required to review and which ones we are receiving and reviewing as a matter of we've always done it this way, and think about, because our meetings can tend to get a bit long, and might there be opportunities to receive information in another way other than asking people to sit through meetings and present to us once a year on something that may not necessarily be required or something that necessarily needs to be done in person. And then there were also just some interesting sessions on, again, thinking about good governance techniques. And so I took away some good takeaways that I look forward to discussing at our next board retreat.
Are these in the Google Docs? Is that right?
They're in the
They're in the library.
Board library?
I did go to a
Board
literacy
conference reports.
They're yeah. I love a literacy session.
Yeah, I mean, it was Oshkosh leadership and just how they had this goal of improving literacy in their district and encompassed connections with faith communities, Chamber of Commerce, Public Library. It just is really a very holistic approach in their community, so it was pretty cool.
One of the sessions that I attended, well, actually Angie was there as well, similar concept of looking at, how other boards function, but I really liked their little video that they made, and I did link it in here, in your report if you want to find it. It's also just easily findable if you go to the DeForest School District. It was a very simple video, but it just really highlighted how a board works. And, a lot of times you get comments from the community, I I wish they didn't serve chicken nuggets so much. Well, that's not what we as a board do. And I just thought the video did a really nice job of kind of framing how a school board functions well with good governance, and kind of keeping those, we talk about above and below the line, just kind of, and very simple, but very effective video. So if you have, I think it's about 2.5 minutes, I encourage you to look at that. One of the other sessions I attended was about pharmacy benefits, which just because we talk about health insurance and pharmacy things so often, I thought, well, let's go see. And, as a medical person myself, wanted to see what they were saying. And really, it was just very interesting to see all the different choices you can make. They talk about which levers to pull. And I know Andy has said that before too. Like, which levers do you pull to make these different, to kind of keep your costs in line, and just the super expensive specialty medications and how that really drives spending, and how you can work with different products and companies and things to try to control that. So it's just interesting to see just it's a huge part of budget.
Any inspiring speakers you guys heard, or? I know, I think you mentioned Hanley, one speaker. I don't know what the topic was.
Yes.
Yeah, the keynote on that.
The keynote was, she's an ESPN reporter. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. She did a very nice, it was inspiring. Now, if you're gonna ask me what the action item from that inspiring speech was, I am not gonna be able to remember it, because I often find, I'm speaking frankly, that the keynotes are very emotionally inspiring, but I often leave without sort of 2 or 3 actionable items that we can take. But I did find her to be one of the more engaging speakers that we've had.
Cultivating audacity was what
I
hers
was
was
gonna say
around.
the audacity, it was kind of resiliency.
Resilience,
you know?
overcoming,
Remember
yep, overcoming challenges,
Mhm.
finding value and worth in every student and helping them feel belonging in their system, and had some stories around that.
I attended the keynote by Mickey Smith Jr., saxophone. But amazing, to be honest. He's a talented teacher, and he did such a beautiful presentation about how we can show to the students that they're loved, that they're needed, and how we, as even school board members and teachers, are needed. It was such a beautiful presentation, amazing. He did everything on the saxophone, and the song. Beautiful.
It's okay to have our emotional cup filled up to it at conferences too. I don't mean to suggest that the keynotes aren't important. It is good to have positive feelings filled back up.
I just think it's always interesting to see, talk to people who come from so far away. I feel a little spoiled that we can just, jump in our car in the morning and drive down there. And, if you needed to, just easy. These are people who come for the whole week. They come from way
up north.
all the corners of Wisconsin, and they're here for a week. And then it's also just interesting to sometimes hear, what are they doing in their districts, and how is that similar to what we're having in Franklin, and then how it's very different. You talk to somebody from some rural district that has totally different issues than we do. And I don't know, I just think it's really kind of motivating to go and be inspired to do this work. Go ahead, Mary.
So in the literacy thing, one thing that they suggested, and maybe I've just missed it, is having a more targeted school visits, like to our liaison. I mean, when I first started, I don't remember getting like a template or this is what you should be discussing. Do we have something like that for our liaison visits? And if not, I'd be interested in maybe coming up with something, because we're going to have some new board members. And I remember going in and being like, what am I supposed to ask? And,
Yeah.
so
You
I
have
don't
that.
know.
You have that in the library.
In the
specific
library,
points
there
to
is
ask. And
a
all
form.
this.
And I think that role of liaison is always being looked at and evaluated, so we can make adjustments if we need to.
Okay, good.
And I think it was the DeForest session that really blew me away, because she talked about their annual, the rhythm of their board year, and having a very thoughtful approach to, at the beginning of the year when you're onboarding new board members, also sort of reviewing your board norms so that you're both onboarding new board members and reviewing and re-upping your commitment to the standards you set with your current board members. So folding that in, Mary.
Awesome. Okay, well, thank you. Good reports, good conference.
Yeah.
Item F, Treasurer's Report is available in the Board Docs Library. Future agenda items. We will be hearing from Countrydale at our next meeting. We will look at our summer, fall 2025 early college credit and start college now requests. Student fees will come back for action at our next meeting. Board clerk's report, the election notice and notice of ballot positions, technology report, first read, 4K wraparound care for information, Friends of Franklin, then our next meeting would be Friends of Franklin, Southwood Glen Elementary School presentation, our first read of our Board of Education meeting dates for the next year, health insurance first read, CISA 1 contract first read, and approval of administrator contracts and the district administrator self-evaluation. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Motion was made by Mary, seconded by Angie. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned
Good
at
job, Ann.
7:06.